Shalom. Kol Halal Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Rakah Hakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. Now more so than ever, the would-be judges, the 144,000, and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, among the heathen nations that look like the heathen nations, the ones who got sifted. This is not a black thing. And to the few Akwath that are listening and learning to you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And just gonna shine a light on the mindset of the Western woman. And it's not just, Keisha. A lot of people, Keisha wicked as hell, collectively. All right. And is completely worldly and has a 100% worldly mentality while claiming to be a Christian. And churches elevate women to a level that the Lord never intended for them to be elevated to. They're told that the prize, and then this society has given them unrealistic, mindset on what a man's role is and what their role is. And in society as well as the churches has also created imbalance by elevating women to places they're not supposed to be, while destroying and holding men back. And that's just an inconvenient and painful truth. All right. Especially among the so-called black community, women are in most cases hired and elevated above their peers as far as men are concerned. And that's not done on accident. That's done purposely to create an imbalance within our families, within our communities, and it's worked really well. The beauty of it, though, is that it's happening to Esau now. Esau is starting to feel the effect of his own folly. All right. So I'm going to read Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter. Something that you would never hear in a church. Especially, this is one of them scriptures that they will not bring out in the church. To Sister Brownie here, who's divorced with all her kids, but expects to, she's on a used car lot, expecting to be bought for new car prices. All right. But this is Jeremiah 3:1, and it reads, "They say if a man put away his wife, and she go from him and become another man's wife," meaning she sleeps with another man, because, they want to keep trying to discount the fact that sex is marriage. Sex is marriage. All right. When you it's not a ceremony, it's not a piece of paper. It's the actual act of going inside of another woman. And the point being is that a woman only really has sex once, where her hymen is cut. All right. After that, she's just having, relations. All right. And if you're having relations with other men that are not the first man who cut your hymen, the first man to penetrate and go inside of you, it's adultery. And the Bible's going to prove it. All right. Just want to put that out there. Okay. That before I even finish this, I got to do it now, because you'll have people that will speak against what I'm saying, even though I'm reading it from the Bible. So the Bible is saying it, not me. But let's go real quick and let's prove the sex is marriage, and then we'll finish that Jeremiah. Then we'll play a couple shorts of these women and the ridiculous things that they say to try to justify their wickedness. All right, but Yeah, I'm going to read Genesis 30 and 9. Actually, I'm going to read 24 and 67 first. All right. I'm just going to go straight to the point. I could read up, but I'm going to go straight to the point. All right. And I'll just tell you that Isaac's mother had died, Sarah, and Rebecca was being brought to become his new wife, or his first wife. Okay. He's never met Rebecca. There's been no ceremony, anything. So he's been hot to meet her, and she's been being brought, knowing that the purpose is she's being brought to him is to become his wife. And so the Bible's going to give you the perfect example, the truest example on how a woman becomes a wife. All right. Because you only become a wife once, physically. All right. Through the act of sex. All right. After that, everything else is just relations. And if it is and it is not with the first man, then it's adultery, plain and simple. All right. And it says, and Isaac brought her into Genesis 24:67. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. All right. And sex is a big comforter when you're going through things in most cases. All right. And it's funny how men want sex in a lot of cases. And sometimes a lot of women don't when they're going through something. Right. Then there's some women who they're going through something. They do want sex, which is what it's meant for. It's to relieve. It's a relieve from your suffering. Like when the Israelites were in slavery, they kept multiplying, in Egypt. And they did it here as well. All right. Then, when Marvin Gaye made that song, Sexual Healing, there's some truth to that. And a lot of women today, they turn off sex when they're going through things. And that can also help destroy a relation. But this is in the same book, in the book of Genesis. Let's go over to Genesis 30 and 9. And it reads, and when Leah saw that she had left bearing, so she's not popping out babies anymore, she took Zipporah, her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. So she took her virgin servant, maid servant, this woman who was a servant to her, and she's like, well, man, he keeps, my husband keeps, giving it to me, and I'm not getting pregnant anymore. Here, take my servant. And she became Zipporah became another one of Jacob's wives. She became a concubine, a lesser wife, because that's just what it is. She became she took. Matter of fact, she just became his wife, because now that I'm thinking about it, Leah wasn't an Israelite. Jacob's children became the Israelites. His name was changed to Jacob. So, and I always point that out, that, women, you were created for the man, not the man for the woman. And your identity is through your father, through your father's seed, not your mother's. And Jacob had 4 wives. He had his 2 wives initially, and then both his wives gave their handmaids to him, and they became wives as well, and bare the patriarchs, which are our forefathers. The 12 men, because Dinah's not counted, she's not, there's no tribe of Dinah. All right. Okay. Because Dinah got penetrated by a Hamite. So all her children or Hamitic, they're Ham, but her brother's children all became the Israelites. Okay. So it says, when Leah, I read it again, Genesis 30 and 9. When Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zipporah, her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. So, and what did Jacob do? He did the same thing with her that he did with that his father Isaac did with his mother. Took her into his tent. I'll read it again. Genesis 24:67. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's wife. Now we live in a culture where women allow men that they don't want, that they say is a piece of stuff. She's gonna keep saying about her baby's daddy, but you continue to let him ejaculate until you raw. All right. And now that you've have these children, you expect to get wifely treatment from another man that you don't even really belong to him. And now I also have to deal with the fact that you have seed from another man. That whole "you ain't my daddy" madness that you go through, dealing with someone else's headache, when you still have to do, because often women like her, they still have relations with the baby daddy. Most women still screw their baby daddy. That's a fact. Well, he can always come back and get it. All right. I was at a school reunion alumni thing, and a couple years ago, and saw a real wife, someone that I was her husband, we were young, and I didn't understand what I know now, but and we talked about it, because she said, as soon as she saw me, she said, "I heard you're a Hebrew Israelite," and I said, "You are too." So we had this long spiritual conversation, and it looked like she received it well, but then you never know. All right, but I also remember seeing her baby sister, her younger sister, and and it was good to see her. She was all smiles, and she hugged me, and we chatted it up, and she was there, and they both are still very attractive, especially for women their age. They are much more attractive than most of their peers, and then she's there, and she's being her younger sister's talking to all these other men and hanging out and having a good old time, but her ex is there. All right, and he comes over and hugs and kisses her, grabs her by the butt, pats her on the butt, and and he talks to me and says what's up to me, and and he's like, that's still my baby, and I'm just thinking to myself, she's with somebody else. This dude is still, there, and that's what I'm talking about. All right, this guy still, this dude is still smashing BJ, even though they're not together anymore. It's beyond clear that he has access to that they have that kind of relationship. He's one of them very aggressive, he's a big dude, and that alpha male types, and she's dating, the little wimpy dude, but, and he's like, fine, you can do all that, and he can pay all them bills and stuff, but when he want them BJ cheeks, guess what? He goes and gets them. And that was beyond obvious. So, but I didn't, that wasn't my business, so I didn't really, I didn't say nothing. I was glad to see BJ. I mean, we had a history. I used to be with her sister. She was cool with me back then, so whatever. But without any further ado, let's, and I'm gonna just go ahead and play this short clip. And I don't know what just happened here.
You telling me that because I already have children that I don't deserve a good man? Yes. That don't make no sense at all. I'm so glad that the world don't work the way he thinks it should.
So let me give her a solution. I want her to go back with her baby daddy.
But he a piece of, and I would never.
But here,
open up your legs to is your husband. I used to be in the church, and I will always see women pray to God for a good.
Now, he read that, and he said he used to be in the church, and he said what he said, but the church don't push that. That man, wearing his beard and all that, that man has been watching and listening. Well, he did say he used to be in the church, so, but it's clear that he's learned that from the Hebrew Israelites, because I spent the first 38 years of my life, in and out of those churches. And Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter, was never brought up. A woman, the status of a woman leaving her man and being with other men, and that her being an adulteress, from that point on, that was never talked about. All right, just putting that out there. So
Man. And I always would ask my mom, and she would pop me in the mouth. I would say, well, what about him? Like, why would God mess his life up by giving him you?
For some reason, you don't make men take accountability for their choices.
You treat people how you want to be treated. Thanks. Some of these women, guys know what they qualify for. They know they don't qualify for the top woman. Women will take the best option knowing that she gonna mess his life up, knowing that she gonna slow him down. I see women today, they don't even like guys that got regular jobs no more. And then you want to complain about your health care coverage.
You telling me that because I
Yep.
already have children,
And then she tries to
that I
flip
don't
the
deserve
script.
a good man?
She tries to flip the script and says, you know, and says men don't want to take accountability. All right. So now we'll play this one because it ain't just about Keisha. This is across the board in Babylon. All right. So let's listen to this chick.
This isn't a breakup. I've never been on my own. I need to know who I am alone, and I don't want to spend.
So you know now, and she says she's never been on her own. So clearly she started off with this guy. All right. And she wants to experience new experiences. All right. She wants to test the water. She wants different penises because she's only had his. All right. Now, I will be honest and tell you, when I had that conversation with with my former wife, from when we were young people, when we were young adults, and I saw her, and a lot of the emotions and all that stuff came back, and the smile she had on her face, it was crazy because she looked at me the same way she did back then, and I was her world, and the thing is that I wasn't into her like she was into me, because I was the young dude, I was the hot boy back then, all right, and my dumb ass, I'm the one that left her, and I went away and and just did my thing and didn't understand what I had done. All right, because if I'd known better, if I'd have understood, but everything happens in its time. I wouldn't have just let her go into the world and and let her be with all these different men and all the other stuff and all the things that's happened to her. All right, and so I really kind of felt guilty. I felt kind of bad, and like I said, and then in that smile, she still had that little girlish smile that she had, and I was just thinking to myself, you dumbass, you let this go and let her go be defiled, by the world, all right? So we do have to take some accountability, because ignorance of the law doesn't make you immune from it, and you know that just living here in Esau's kingdom, man. All right. And we also have to understand is that the way we feel about women when they, wrong us like that, when they go and be with other men and all that other things, that's what we as a people, the men, did to the Lord, because we were the bride of the Lord. All right. And so when we started following in these other nations and these false gods and being a wicked people, the Lord felt the same way that we feel when our women would step out on us. We became defiled. All right. So our women being this way, that's really a part of our punishment, brothers. Remember that. All right. That's a part of our punishment that our women collectively are like, Lakeisha we were just watching, and like this woman that we're watching now. All right. So let's
wondering what if.
This is stupid. The minute you walk out
here
of
we
here,
here we go.
This isn't a breakup. This isn't a breakup. I've never been on my own. I need to know who I am alone, and I don't want to spend my life wondering what if.
This is stupid. The minute you walk out of here, you're gonna realize how much shit I do for you and how great I am and how much you need me, and you're gonna start stalking me. And that's sad.
This is gonna be great for both of us.
Yeah.
A few moments later.
I'm done. I'm finally done.
What are you done with?
With our time apart. It's been difficult on both of us. I'm finally ready for us to be together.
I'm seeing someone.
So, Josh, you want to just, tell me when you're done then?
I don't know, Alice.
We'll just wait till you're done.
Shit's different. I'm not sure I want the same things anymore.
You mean like me?
I didn't need an experiment to know that I loved you. And I'm not an idiot. You're I guess, done with whatever you've been doing with whoever you've been doing, and you think you can come running back to me?
Exactly. You're done. Basically, you're done taking all that other semen from all them other men. All right? That's you're done being ragdoll by all those other men, and now you realize that that this guy's a good guy, and now you want to run back to him. This man is actually being wise, because we've all been in that position where you love a woman so much that it hurts so bad when she steps out on you that you actually you will take her back, which is a big mistake. All right, it's a really big mistake, and I tried it, and it doesn't work. It does not work, because I had so much love. And, you start looking, well, damn, I was this and I did that and I could have been better at this. You start rationing with, damn, man, I was really, maybe I should give her a chance. Because, you start, no, hell to the no. Hell to the no, because you're the man. See, and women are not men. All right, that's why they have innies and you have outies. And so to solidify that, and the lesson, this lesson is about the chariots and the returning of the Lord, and it turned into this. I haven't even got to that part, because, you women who are acting this way, that behave like this woman, you're going to miss out on being an Isaiah 4:1 woman. You're going to miss out on being a wife of a man of the Lord when the salvation comes. All right, because Christianity has taught you that you can just go run around your man and go straight to the Lord, and it does not work like that. Not according to the Bible anyway. Okay, and if you believe, and if and that's for women who have a man. If you don't have a man and you come across this truth and you believe the Lord, and so you're probably watching in video. You're watching your husband, your future husband. And and that's a very realistic and likely thing that will happen. A lot of women that do believe, a few sisters that watch and learn, they watch particular brothers. They're watching them for two reasons. They're watching them because of the message, and they're also watching them because they're attracted to them. All right, and they're hoping to be one of their wives. And if you truly believe in the Lord, more than likely that's exactly what's going to happen. All right, because Yahweh Shai, they're very just and fair. As harsh as they are in judgments, they're also just and fair. All right, and they're going to give you the man. They're going to give you to the man that's suited for you. And in a lot of cases, it will probably be the man that you're listening and learning to the most, or whoever it is, because all women are going to be subscribed to certain brothers, or listen to certain people. But either way it goes, you will be one of many wives of the men of the Lord, and it just tells you that in the Bible in quite a few places. Okay, but what you don't want to do is go and learn this truth and then still live your life like this woman did, and which a lot of Western women do. So I'm going to read Jeremiah 3:1-2 again, but I'm going to read it in the NLT. All right. And it reads, if a man divorces a woman and she goes and marries someone else, meaning we just broke down with scripture how you get married. So that means, if she goes and lays with another man or multiple men, all right, it says, he will not take her back again, for that will surely corrupt the land. But you have prostituted yourself with many lovers. So the man is a husband is basically is a sower, plower seed. All right, he plows. He plows and he lays seed in the field. The woman is considered the seed or the land or the field that he's plowing his seed into. And that's what it means when someone else is plowing their seed into you. When a man is shooting off his kids into you, via your vagina, your mouth, however you're taking his seed, all right, you become a part of that man. And that man becomes a part of you for your lifetime. Because remember, science, even the modern day science has proved that the semen that goes into a woman stays on her for a lifetime. All right. And we've all seen couples where they start to look alike. That's because they've been together a very long time, and they start to look alike. And I have a jiu-jitsu associate of mine that I met him through his wife many years ago, way back in the late 90s. Okay. And I was just at a ceremony with him, all these years later, because he's 4th degree now, because he was, he started jiu-jitsu before me. I was a striker. I was a Muay Thai guy. And I actually watched the UFC with him and his wife many, many years ago. Okay. I think it was like UFC 5. So you do the math. And I remember asking him all these questions about, jiu-jitsu, and he's trying to explain it. And, so we're watching the fight. And of course he's rooting for the grapplers and I'm rooting for the strikers, especially the kickboxers. But, it was a good time. And so now, I'm 2nd degree. He's a 4th degree. So he's a black belt quite a few years before I got there. But nevertheless, his wife his wife worked with me. We were cool. That's how she introduced me to her husband. And I ended up watching the fight with them, But it dawned on me, because I've run into her a couple times and I was looking at him, how much she looks like him. All right? Because they've been together since high school. Okay? They've been together since high school. And she actually, I'm like, damn. So, that's an important thing. Don't think that it's not. Being with and staying with, a man, sisters, you women out there. All right? So, again, Jeremiah 3:1 in the NLT. If a man divorces a woman and she goes and marries someone else, he will not take her back again, for that will surely corrupt the land, but you have prostituted yourself with many lovers. So why are you trying to come back to me? He's like, why are you trying to come back to me? All right. Verse 2. Look at the shrines on every hilltop. Is there any place you have not been defiled? Right? This hotel room, that car, in the bathroom in the club, It says, your adultery with other gods, you sit like a prostitute beside the road, waiting for a customer. You sit along, like a nomad in a desert. You have polluted the land with your prostitution and your wickedness. So your womb is completely polluted. That's where that fish smell, that horrible odor starts to come. Which is funny with the last woman that I was really into like that. And when she stepped out on me, and I knew it through the spirit before it all came out, I knew it through the spirit. And, and that was an issue with her. Because your pH balance goes way the fuck off. All right? Because of the different, And I'm thinking to myself, you can risk my health. The hell, the fact you just stepped off, then just stay gone. Don't try to keep me in the loop, and then I find out, but the water you how I was good. But yeah, man, that shit hurts. And then you have to understand that we as the sons of Jacob, the lowercase gods, 82 Psalms 82:6. That's why it says we would die like men, right? Yeah, guys, but you would die like men because why? Because we did the same thing that these women do to so many brothers be upset about, man, this woman and man. Hey, bro, this is a part of our punishment. That's why the scripture says, marvel not if she trespass against thee. Marvel not, man. So you have to vet women. You have to, and it's best not to even really be with them. And that's just the brutal, uncomfortable truth. It's just best not to be with them. Because it's really hard for me to trust. It's really hard for me to love. And if I got feelings for you, I still keep it at a distance until that time. All right? Because I'm looking forward to the future relationships. I'm not really looking for that right now. If the Lord puts it in my lap, then the water your how, I'll take it. But I'm not seeking. I'm not trying to, hunt down and date and go out and, all that. No, I'm not. No, I'm too busy doing the work of the Lord, man. And then I'm occupied with, with what I got going on to eat, with my, with my own thing right now. And the end is near, and the Lord has women for us. And some of you brothers are fortunate enough to be in contact and talking and already making contact with them. All right. Because, via the internet and the women that are watching and learning, and I've said it many times, man, many of your future wives are on your comment boards and watching the videos already, man. The Lord is going to, is preparing them to be like the scripture says, they shall be saved in childbearing. All right. And that's why, and particularly when you get to Revelation, the 7th chapter, the 9th verse, when it says, the rest of the elect, the people outside of the 144,000 judges are going to be, the majority of that is going to be women. All right. It's going to be a lot of men in that too, believers who are not really set up to be teachers that are also a part of the elect. But the majority of that is going to be women. All right. That's why women outnumber men, because it wasn't meant for a woman. Because, this woman right here, if this man has to be, on average, the average number right now is 7 or 8 to 1, and so what that means is, by that logic, if a man stays with only one woman his whole life, that means there's 7 to 8 other women who never get to have a husband. They just get to have a fling here and there. And that's what causes the drama, because women don't want to accept the fact that, that the Lord set it up for them to be one of many wives and not just the wife. There's no such thing. All right. And the woman that can't get that, well, that woman's not spiritual and the Lord's not dealing with her. All right. But, like the scripture says, in the day of our power, in the day of thy power, thy people will be willing. All right. So with that, all praises, honor, and glory be unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kwadash, Kwam Yasharala, Abba, Babal.